This is the Reverend Phillip K. here with you today on the Dudeist Journey podcast and video. If you happen to be on YouTube, I want to strap on by. Alright, so today is April 14th, 2022. We've been getting through the COVID thing, man. It's been tough, but we've been getting through it. And we've had some ups and downs and some craziness going on out in the world, and Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, and kooky stuff, man, kooky stuff. Been pretty tough because we've lost some good ones. Bob Saget passed away. Gilbert Gottfried just passed away. So it's been a crazy time, man. It's been tough, and as we're going through all this, as I'm sure you are and I am, and as we're all dealing through it, we're constantly trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. A time when everyone could speak peacefully and calmly and treat each other well. God, hope it can happen. Well, today I'm going to be talking about Easter. It's a Christian holiday, yes. Dates back to pagan origins, but I actually did some research. And I've gone through, and I'm going to give you a whole history on Easter here. Basically, I'm going to be able to tell you a lot about where everything kind of started and came from, right down to the jelly beans in the basket. Because I think it's an interesting thing to learn. Sorry, I'm over here smoking my hand-rolled hemp cigarettes. You know, I get these zigzags, right? Or just, not even zigzags. I mean, these are like flavored papers. You know, they got like cherry and vanilla and strawberry kiwi and stuff. And so I tried rolling my own. I got this little roller, and it works all right. But I can't taste any cherry. I've been smoking these things for a couple weeks, and I'm not tasting the cherry, buddy. As far as a little update on myself, I'm still doing the computer programming thing, but the main language I've learned is JavaScript, man, and I'm like, I want to build apps. Not web apps, mobile apps. Now, you can build mobile apps with JavaScript, blah, 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 blah. And it's getting bigger, but I'm like, dude, I was wanting to learn C# and Java. And I've only taken one class in each of those, so it's like, what's the deal? Come on, man, work with me here, because I want to build games, and all the game guys, they're like, well, we use Unity, and Unity uses C#, so you have to learn C# and you have to know Java. Okay. I'm getting there. But yeah, I'm dealing through that, and then today, actually, 4/14, is actually me and the missus' anniversary. That's right, folks. Be 22 years. Those are people like, wow, that's a long time, man. And people ask, well, how do you do it? Well, patience and communication. You gotta understand that when two people get together, man, it's like two separate entities becoming one, like two cells merging into one. There's going to be some friction, and there's going to be some issues. And yeah, we don't agree on everything. I'll totally be with you on that. I love horror movies. She does not. I tend to be a little bit more loose with my tongue on certain things. She's a little more conservative in that area. But we both believe in free weed and free guns, So, we find our middle ground. So, I did, oh, sorry, I'm bumping the mic here. I did have some surprise flowers sent to her work. So, she's going to get those that afternoon. We're going to see what happens, buddy. And then I'm going to pack up the kids and, meet her at work. Because I'm doing all my stuff from home now. I'm the home guy. And, I'm going to start looking more for a more set job. I really want to work for People Fun because they make wordscapes, and I friggin' love wordscapes. It's a great game. They're working on like a match 3, like Candy Crush kind of game. So I'm trying to learn how to make those too. But yeah, so that's what's going on with me, man. Rolling with it, trying to take it easy, trying to not be angry, trying to not be stressed. Because there's a lot of stress, man. I'm going to be doing the Comic-Con, the Dallas Fan Expo. You can't use Comic-Con because the guys at San Diego copyrighted it, made it a trademark. Jerks. And so every other convention that has to do with comics now is to be like the Pop Culture Expo or this and that or something else or yada yada. Sorry if you hear the fan in the background. I got this supercomputer and it runs a big fan. Alright, so let's get in to my topic today, which is Easter. The history of Easter. What is Easter? Where did it come from? What is all this stuff? Well, let me get to my composition book of notes here, and I shall tell ye a story. So, let's start with the Easter Bunny, okay? Now, because Easter dates all the way back to, like, Roman times, and it's pagan holidays, and da-da-da-da-da. So let's start getting into the Easter Bunny here, and then I can kind of go over things. So, started in the 2nd and 3rd century, the celebration for the goddess Easter, I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and so she was the goddess of fertility, and her animal symbol was a rabbit. So guess what? That's where the Easter Bunny comes from. It symbolizes fertility, people out there making babies. So the rabbit was a symbol of fertility in many cultures, all right? Because let's just say, there's this whole thing with, fucking like rabbits and all that kind of stuff. So people are just popping out kids and everything, And so the egg represents new life. So that's why you have the egg, which is metaphorical for the female eggs that we actually grow from as people. Because let's just face it, without women, no one would exist, right? Men cannot have children, only the women can. And if the childbearing was up to the men, we'd be extinct. So, now, let's go down in, so we're going to fast forward. So that's the 2nd and 3rd century, okay? The goddess Easter. Probably not pronouncing that correctly. Could be a story. I don't know. I'm trying, man. But let's fast forward to the 13th century. Now, Christianity has grown, right? And now the egg represents the rock that was moved when Jesus died. And rolling the egg in an egg race is a symbolic activity of that. So Christians were like, oh, it can't represent, babies and stuff. That's just too dirty. So it's going to represent the rock that covered Jesus' grave and was magically moved. Yeah, magically. Now, the eggs began being decorated, all right, because you couldn't eat the eggs during Lent. So they had to wait until Easter to eat any of the eggs. So while they had the eggs, they decorated them in the meantime. And then soon, Russian high society would exchange eggs decorated in diamonds and jewels and stuff, okay? So you get those Fabergé eggs and things like that, right? That's where that comes from, okay? So then, German immigrants, they came to America, right? Particularly Pennsylvania in the 1700s. And they brought their story of the egg-laying bunny called the Osterhare, and their children would make a nest for the colored eggs to go in, and they would even leave carrots for the Easter bunny. Now, we have chocolate and candy as well as eggs, okay? So it's almost like a Santa Claus kind of thing. Instead of leaving out the cookies and the milk, you left a basket and some carrots, okay? Now, the White House, now they do an egg roll, okay? So they're actually carrying on that Christian little game there. And that started in 1878. Wow, man, it's over 200 years, no, 100 something, because we're not near the 70s yet at all. Then jelly beans, right, they're egg-shaped, and they started being a part of the Easters in the 1930s because they were a cheap candy, basically. So, folks around ain't got a lot of money, so Easter comes around, you get the cheap candy. And we all know the cheap candy. And then, Peeps. Peeps are constantly associated with Easter, dude. So they were created in 1925 by a Russian immigrant named Sam Bourne. And the candy officially hit stores in 1950. Okay, so that right there is just this little bit about Easter, like where this whole thing comes from. Because a lot of people, I grew up Christian, so I only hear the Christian story, right? I only hear that. I don't hear anything else. So when I started looking at other things, I'm like, where did this? Because a lot of people, we ask that question. We're just like, where does this come from? Rabbits don't lay eggs. What the hell is this craziness? And most of the time, your parents just told you to shut up and pray to Jesus and color the damn egg. So we just did, I mean, hey, there's free candy. We're not going to complain. There's not going to be a problem here, sir. But one thing I have noticed is that we have some companies that do nothing but make Easter candy. I think it's Palmer is one of these companies. All they do is make Easter candy. That's it. And it always tastes weird. The chocolate's a little off. I don't understand why, like, Hershey and, the Mars company, I don't understand why these guys aren't making the bunnies, because they make the better tasting chocolate. But it's always been these other guys. This Palmer got, it even has a little bunny as their icon. So it's like, when you start looking at all of this, it all just starts to seem kind of funny. And I understand why some people could look at the holiday and think it's kooky and crazy. And now another holiday has sprung up out of Easter called Zombie Jesus Day. Because, this is about Jesus' resurrection and the whole forgiving and starting over and all that good stuff, which is nice, I don't think we need to go crazy with it there or anything, but I think the point that I'm trying to get to is that this holiday for me as a Dudeist is more about kind of starting over. I mean, it's spring now. We're going through winter. We're going through a big season change. And now people are getting out of their houses more, and they're going camping and fishing and heading out to the theme park or whatever have you. And I just think that it's like all of us are kind of starting anew. And then we just had New Year's, and everyone always makes these New Year's resolutions. And spring is a great time to enact. A lot more people tend to get married in the spring than any other time. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of new things, and a lot of starting over, and a lot of big things. Now, I know you might be thinking, it's like, okay, well, how does that relate in Dudeism? Well, Dudeism is, once again, it's you kind of make it your own, and we incorporate things from all religions and walks of life, and there's been a lot of really great dudes out there, both male and female. And again, dude is a gender-neutral term. And so for some folks out there, holidays like this is typically something more for kids. Like, I remember before I had children, Easter was just, we're going to have a fancy dinner and pray. Like, that's it. And we're going to eat some candy. It was always more of a kid thing. So if you had kids, you were always doing something for the kids. But, you can't be 27 years old and going on the Easter egg hunt, you know what I mean? Now, some folks have started a tradition where they do an egg hunt for the parents, okay? They'll take money and they'll put money in the eggs and set the eggs out, and the adults can go out, and one of the eggs has like $100 or something in it, So, another way they're incorporating that. But now that I understand more that, like, okay, this started back with a Greek goddess, and then more and more things got carried up along the way. Because when you look at the history, especially on Christianity just tends to absorb holidays, and one of the main reasons they absorbed them was they were identifying with the community, but also they were just trying to get more followers. And they're like, hey, people love to party, so we'll just incorporate the party holidays into Christianity and just say it's about Jesus or something. Because, I mean, think about it. Think about, like, Halloween. What's Christian about that? When I kind of look at the whole thing, I mean, Halloween is much, I mean, you're dressing up like a ghoul or something, and you're supposed to be scaring away evil spirits. That's where the whole history goes back to. But I'm like, this is when I started seeing more, it started opening my world a bit more to other cultures, because I'm like, Halloween is kind of celebrated, it's mostly kind of we tend to do these kooky holidays and things, and Halloween is one of them. And it's grown more, I feel, as a sense of community. It's a chance for you to get to know your neighbors, to hang out with folks, because it really just started as like a block party and continued on from there. But now, and so that's been with these other holidays. And Easter's been the same thing. And yeah, you want to celebrate the resurrection, but the fact is that we don't know the day that Jesus, quote unquote, rose from the dead. Which once again, Zombie Jesus Day. So when you don't, we don't know when Jesus was born. We don't know when he died, and we don't know when he rose back. But we incorporated the holidays into those things. And of course, Christmas being the biggest, because that used to be the harvesting festival, basically, the big harvesting festival before winter kicked in. And let's just face it, the worst winter months are January and February. I mean, I'm out here in North Texas, so it's like the storms here the weather here is insane. It's like living in the land of freaking Oz. And we've had these snows. Now, we've had some snow in the past, pretty light, but these bad ones we've had where like the whole electrical grid got shut down. That was just like, what the hell? Had to start changing some things. Now, but I don't know about you, but my power went out this winter, and my family, we had to leave. We couldn't stay. We were here for probably about 30 hours or so, because like it went off at night around 11 p.m. We stayed the whole day in the house, and it just got colder and colder and colder. And we stayed one more night, and by the next morning, it was so cold. We were like, we can't. I mean, yeah, we've got a fire going and everything, but I'm like, we have no electricity whatsoever, and we're having to, eat hot dogs by the fire, basically, and having sandwiches and stuff, and just kind of struggling there a bit. But it was, my wife's in a wheelchair. Her circulation is not normal like an average person's, and then I had a young one. She's about 3 years old, and she could not get warm. So we were like, look, we're going to have to abandon ship. Problem is, roads are frozen. All the roads are completely frozen, and barely anyone's driving on them. And you got crews working around the clock. It was nuts. And I'm kind of down, like the freeway's kind of like, I have to go up a hill to get to the freeway. So sure enough, the car, I'm driving my wife's van. I got the kids, her packed up. We can't get that high, and we slide back down, and luckily some other folks were coming along, so some guys pushed my car, and I had to ride on the side of the road where there was some grass so I could get some traction. And then when I got near right before the hill, I just gunned it. I just hit the pedal to the metal, and I was able to get up to the top. It took a while for them to get everyone else out. It was really tough, and I was able to get to a family member's house, and we were there for most of the day, and then I think by that evening the power had come back on, and so we packed up and drove home. And I have to tell you, I white-knuckled that entire drive. It was freaking me out, and it was so funny because this one guy was he was going real fast and driving around me, and we're like, this guy's insane. And then, sure enough, 2 miles down the road, his car had spun around and flipped out and ended up in the ditch there. So, karma, But I think it's interesting to learn that a lot of these Easter traditions come from immigrants, German and Russian immigrants and stuff, man. And we're, everyone here, every white person in this country is a descendant of immigrants. And it's a trip because I think that's one of the cool things about America is that we have so many different things, so many different cultures. We're a mongrel nation, and all these cultures helped build to what it is today. And I think that's so awesome because it's like you can go down the street to like a mini mall or something, and you can get Chinese food and Indian food and Italian food and Mexican food and all kinds of stuff, and it's just, it tastes great. So I know the food thing, but I'm just sorry, the food's awesome. I have yet to meet a person who doesn't like orange chicken. You know what I mean? And samosas. Oh, samosas are awesome. And of course, everyone loves pizza. And even hamburger. That's German. I love hamburgers. You know what? I think I might get myself a hamburger for lunch. Why not? Because Easter's coming up, man. And whether you celebrate it or not, there's going to be a bunch of stuff out there. And one thing you can do, which I think is really cool, is the day after Easter, if you go to the grocery store, all the candy is like 75% off. So, like, if you got a sweet tooth, buddy, you can fill up for the whole year. Well, the one thing that Dudists do celebrate on Easter is take it Easyter. So as long as you're taking it easy, you're doing all right. And who doesn't want to celebrate a time to take it easy? But I think the big lesson that, like I said, I take around during Easter is this is a time to start over. And every day you have that chance. Every day you have the opportunity to wake up and say, I'm going to make a different choice. And I'm going to do something else. And I'm going to be better at it. And I'm going to work harder at it. And I know that's what I'm doing now. I'm 40 years old and having to restart my whole freaking career based around programming. And I have to dive into this and learn a whole new trade. And the thing is that no one else around me or in my family knows how to do this trade. So I'm having to go off books and YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. But I'm getting there, man. I'm getting there. Got these little, these are Muslim prayer beads I got here. Because, like I said, we're a mongrel nation out here in the States, and so there's a lot of different stuff that incorporated. Like, I remember being taught about karma, and karma is a Hindu belief. And I'm like, well, if we're doing Hindu beliefs, then what else have we got mixed up in here? Yeah. So I know how they work. There's 30 beads, and there's like a little stopper. Kind of, if any Catholics out there, it's kind of like a rosary, but instead of, I believe rosary, it's 10 beads, and then there's a little stopper, big thing, and each one you're supposed to say a certain prayer. With me, once again, I'm a Dudeist, so I can kind of do my own thing with it. And my thing with it is I like to recite 3 things, so 30 times. So it's you recite one thing 30 times, and then another thing, and another thing. Basically kind of saying my own prayers. And the things I say are, I am love. Say that 30 times. Then I am compassion 30 times. I am generous 30 times. And I believe that those 3 principles, those 3 pillars is kind of what makes up everything. I mean, think about it. If it weren't for a mother's love, generosity, and compassion, none of us would be here. Think about that for a moment. And while a lot of people, they go out to church and they roll the Easter egg and this, and that, and everything, or, even if you don't celebrate it, even if you're just having a typical average Sunday, remember that on Monday, the next day, you can start something new, and you can do something new, and you can be somebody new. You can make a better choice. And maybe you can make the right choice. Doing the right thing ain't always the easy thing. That's something I've learned down this road. So, take some time, kick back, drink a White Russian, and smoke a joint. Because like I said, tomorrow's a new day. And it could be a new you. If you want to. Still not tasting the cherry. I even put a filter on these things. You can buy filters too. Yeah, roll your own. So I thought, hey, why not get a filter? I mean, everyone hates doing the little squeezing, smoking, a roach there or whatever. A hemp roach, but whatever. But I just was like, look, if I'm going to roll, I'm just going to put a filter in there. That way my fingers ain't going to burn and I'm going to feel a little better. People roll your own know what I'm talking about. But smoking's not vaping's the big thing now. And I'm an old smoker. My wife hates it. I'm trying to cut down. I'm trying. And I have. Little. He's up, man. He's up. So the last little thing I do want to leave you off with today is that if there's one thing that you can take away from all this, I'm going to clean off my tabletop here. I'd like you to know that when you're doing what you do, you always have a chance to be something more than what you think you can be. I'm going to be doing some YouTube videos. I found a bunch of these. For a period of time, I tried to be a filmmaker. Didn't work out, in case you didn't notice. But that's what happens. For every Steven Spielberg, or Kevin Smith, there's a million guys who did the same thing, and I'm one of them. I'm actually turning it into a comic book called Don't Make a Movie, and I'm going to have it available at the Dallas Fan Expo in June this year. So if any of you guys would like to come out and actually see me in person, I will be at the Dallas Fan Expo in June 2022. I forget the dates. I think it's the 19th, 17th, and the 19th. I don't know. But I will be there. I'll be there with Animus Entertainment, and we're going to be pushing our books, toys. I'll have some paintings and stuff out. And so yeah, I hope to see all you folks out there. If you're in the area. Okay, so this is the part where we like to do 5 minutes of silence. This is time to reflect on anything I've said or just anything going on. If you want to just kind of take 5 minutes for yourself and just chill. Because trust me, especially if you have kids, you need to do this all the time. Alright, so let's start that 5 minutes right now. But I hope you can have yourself a fun day, and I hope you can actually get out there and do what it is that you want to do. It's not easy. It's tough. Like I've said, it's tough. So just stick to it, my friend. The road to heaven leads through hell. But whatever you do, try and take it easy. Because when you take it easy, the dude abides. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.